Bienvenidos and welcome back to Puro Pinche Gol, the place we discuss all things USMNT y la selección mexicana. My name is Adrian. I'm joined once again by my co-host and Tocayo, Adrian. Adrian, what's going on, man? How are you doing, dude?
I'm doing, bro. Rocking this one team, one nation shirt from 2014. A gift that you gave me back in the day. Ready to talk diegococca. Excuse me, el titre coca, and and talk about my reactions and your reactions about the USMNT roster.
Yeah, man. I think the only thing missing on that jersey is a star. Hopefully one day they get it. Um, but yeah, man, let's just get right into it, man. Like you said, the two teams, Mexico and the USA, released the roster for the All-State Continental Clásico, as being known. Um, the money grab here on the non-official FIFA-friendly date. So
If there's a definition of a juego molero, this is the definition of a juego molero.
I know it. Um, to no one's surprise, it's mainly MLS versus Liga MX players, kind of how we predicted and how many were saying. Adrian, let's start right into it, man, with the USMNT, Anthonyhudson's boys. I'm going to read off each player real quick, and then we'll talk about our notable omissions, notable inclusions, and just kind of, our thoughts.
Lego.
Goalkeepers, no real surprises. Sean Johnson, Toronto FC, and Roman Celentano, who we said was probably going to get his first cap here. The other, I guess, kind of surprise was Drake Callender from Inter Miami. Defenders, Sergino Dest, which is the big surprise we'll talk about here. Aaron Long, Julian Gressel, Matt Miazga, another surprise. Shaq Moore, Caleb Wiley from Atlanta United. Joshua Winder, that's another big surprise. DeAndre Yedlin and Walker Zimmerman. Midfielders Kellen Acosta, Aiden Morris, Christian Roldan, James Sands from New York FC, Alan Sonora, FC Juarez, and Jackson UL from Earthquakes. Forwards is Paula Riola, Kate Cow, El Caballo, Jesus
El
Ferreira,
caballo.
Jordan Morris, and Brandon Vasquez. Yeah, man, right off the bat, reading that, I know we talked about it before recording here, and you mentioned it. Sergio Dest. What are your thoughts on that? What a surprise, huh?
Yeah, no, I honestly wasn't expecting any European player on any of the rosters. But I don't know if this is a good surprise or a bad surprise. The only thing, this call up screams to me that either Milan is just fed up with him and they don't want to do or deal with him or do with him anything whatsoever,
Yeah,
or he's just at a very uncomfortable situation where he's not necessarily out of shape or underperforming. He's just not in the graces of the coach. I don't know. It's really interesting to see him here, man.
yeah. I mean, what can be said about him that hasn't been said already? Right, his situation's pretty bad for both his teams. For his home team Barcelona or his loan team AC Milan.
Hmm.
Unwanted at both. Cut off from AC Milan just won their Champions League quarterfinal, and he's not even he's not even on the bench. He was cut off from the UEFA Champions League squad. Um, and so now they gave him permission to come to this glorified Camp Cupcake, and pretty much just sums up his situation. He definitely needs a move in the summer ASAP.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, even if it's like to a step down, right? I mean, he's been playing with two tier one teams, Barcelona and AC Milan. Even
Hmm.
before that, he was at Ajax. So I mean, maybe step it down to like a Valencia. Well, Valencia might not even be in the Liga next, but a middle of the table team, right? A West Ham or
Yeah.
something like that, right? Um,
This goes to show that even though Eredivisie is kind to Mexican and USMNT players, goes to show that even if you have a killer season with the likes of PSV, Feyenoord, Ajax, Twente, so on and so forth, it doesn't mean that it's going to translate well on a more competitive team at a more competitive league, right?
yeah,
So he needs to go back to either Eredivisie or a small team in France, maybe something in like mid tier Germany, just so he gets his form back and hopefully go back to one of those tier one teams.
for sure. And yeah, correction. I said PSV. He used to play for Ajax. My fault. Um, Another kind of surprise inclusion here, man, was Matt Miazga. Um, the center back that he was kind of a nomad in Europe, right? He was at
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea, and he was one of Chelsea's loany armies, right? He would go loan here, loan there, and then
Poor guy.
he's probably spent
Yeah.
he's probably spent like 4 or 5 years on loan before ultimately saying, you know what, screw this, I'm coming back to MLS, and he settled in Cincinnati, and he's been doing pretty well. Like, to his credit, he's been doing pretty
Mm-hmm.
well in Cincinnati. They're playing amazing. And what's interesting about him is he's hasn't been shy or quiet about criticizing the previous coach, Greg Berhalter, and how last season and last cycle, he should have been part of this core group and should have been part of the World Cup squad and the World Cup cycle. Again, debatable. USA is thankfully has many. They're not starving for players in center back, right? They have Tim Ream, Trusty, McKenzie, Zimmerman, Robinson, hell, even Aaron Long, um,
Carter
and
Vickers.
Vickers. Yeah, and most of those
Hmm.
guys are ahead of him in the pecking order for sure. Um,
Yeah.
so I think he rightfully earned up a call up this time. He's been playing well, um, and he might be able to resolve his USA situation. Maybe force his way into the Gold Cup team or force his way into the Nations League team if he continues playing well. He's still young for a center back, so you know, props to him, I guess.
What do you mean, you guys, dude?
I mean, like I said, I mean, it's going to be hard for him to kind of make his way up to the number
Yeah.
one, but
No, definitely. I think he by now he must realize that he's not, a USMNT
right,
roster player, right?
yeah,
So I agree with you. He probably has a chance to step in if one of the third string or second string center back gets injured or for whatever reason cannot play, uh, or attend to the call up. Right. I think that's his role, and even if he needs to have like an outstanding, stellar season with Cincy to maybe trump Zimmerman, but that's just it's a big maybe, man.
yeah. I think he could trump Aaron Long, jump him over, but
Mm, yeah.
Zimmerman, yeah, that's a big maybe. He probably the best center back in the league. Um, Another one that's kind of a interesting inclusion here, man, is Caleb Wiley, the left back for Atlanta United. He's only 18 years old, and he's been one of the standouts of the MLS season so far. One of the better
Hmm.
prospects and one of the better prospects for the future for the USMNT. So it's going to be important and good for him, beneficial for him to get this Clásico experience. Even though if he won't play, maybe, but he'll at least train with the team and kind of get a feeling of how that ambience is. Playing in Phoenix in front of 90,000 Mexican fans. So
But yes, I was gonna say at least 70% of them are gonna be Mexican.
right. So yeah, I mean, one for the future. Can't say I've seen much of him. He's a young talent, though. I've read some of his stats, and I mean, for an 18-year-old, he's definitely building onto something there. Um, One that I definitely haven't seen play is the next guy, Joshua Winder. He is Louisville City FC USL, like not even MLS, second division US
Ain't that
soccer.
crazy?
That is crazy, and he's 17 years old. So I mean, I can't say much about him. I haven't seen him play, but again, kind of the similar situation as Caleb Wiley. Get his experience.
Hmm.
He maybe has played some Clásico matches for the under 17s, under whatever 18 teams, but this will be his first Clásico for the senior men's squad. So give him a taste again of of what that means.
Just put him in, Tonyo. Go for it,
Yeah,
man.
got nothing to lose, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, could be a standout player for sure in the future. Um, and the last one here I want to kind of cover for interesting inclusion is DeAndre Yedlin. I know we kind of talked about it after the World Cup, and he was one of the players that we said is probably done with the U.S. team. He gave what he gave. He was a good player in 2014 for when they went to the World Cup in
Hmm.
Brazil. He was more of a bench role this time after missing the 2018 World Cup when he would have been in his peak. He played a bench role, kind of coming in to alleviate Sergio Dest during the World Cup, a couple minutes. But yeah, we thought he was done, and he's playing for Inter Miami, who's not doing this well this season. So interesting inclusion. And again, this might just be for a leadership role for his experience
Yeah.
to be able to tell the guys, this is how we play against Mexico in the Clásico. This is what to experience or what to expect. Uh, yeah, I mean, he might play, but at the same time, it's Tonyo's under no pressure, so he might experiment here.
And the thing is that I think I also believe that he's one of the MLS faces, right? I think his time as a USMNT player from 2014 to today. I think they just whether he starts or not, they're bringing him in. I believe more because of his name recognition rather than his form as of today.
Yeah, kind of how we said they may have brought Chicharito in for Mexico for
Hmm.
his name recognition. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Some quick notable omissions here. Alex Zendejas, the Club America
Yes.
player. America unfortunately did not let him travel to this game. You can't blame them. It's a juego molero. They know it. We all know
Well,
it.
I don't know. I don't know if you saw the game against Monterrey, but he got his nose fractured.
Mm,
I think he got well. Jesus Gallardo didn't. I don't think he did it on purpose, but while struggling for a ball, I think Jesus Gallardo's elbow hit him in the face and broke his nose. So America told him like, "Hey, I'm not gonna send a guy with a fractured nose right now." Um, which I think Tonyo reacted with a very interesting choice of words. He said that Sendejas has been doing great, that he would have loved for him to be part of the team, that he understands why America is asking for not getting his player called up, but that he's disappointed. So I wonder if this is gonna have some repercussions with Alex Sendejas. Although we don't even know if Tonyo's gonna be the permanent coach, for all we know, right?
right. But he also said, to be fair to Antonio, he said that Club America has been really fair with them and have always worked with him in the
Hmm.
past to get Sendejas into the squad. So he
Yeah,
understands it's disappointment, but he understands, and I guess it's for the best. You don't send a player with a fractured nose to go play. Let the guy
yeah.
recover.
Although I wonder if this was something that Doña Fede planned, right? Because who owns America and
Hmm.
who also happens to be the owner of El Fútbol Mexicano, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if this was a sneaky play from them, but we'll let the people had conversations for another episode.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about all the sneaky suspicions we have of Doña Fede and make a whole
Mhm.
3-part episode if we wanted to.
There we go.
Um, And one of the last notable mission I had here was Miles Robinson, the Atlanta United center back, who has just recently came back from an injury, a horrible injury. But he that was probably like a month ago when he came back, and he made the squad for the Nations League matches. He played in the one against El Salvador,
Hmm.
so he's been playing all the matches against in for Atlanta, and he's probably the top one or two center backs in the league, on the verge of the B plus team for the USMNT. So he was definitely one that I, for his experience, the fact that Tonyo likes him, he would have made the World Cup had it not been for his injury. I, wholeheartedly expected him to be on the squad, but alas, he is not. Um, as we wrap up here, the USMNT, man, our reactions. I guess the biggest reaction for me when was, other than those inclusions and omissions, I know we talked about this, kind of their midfield and their lack of, creativity, where the plays going to come from, where the goals going to come from. Their forwards, they have great forwards right now. They have Vasquez, Jordan Morris,
Morris.
El
Mhm.
Caballo Cao. But who's going to get them that that ball? The midfield that they brought in is more of a defensive minded. Kellen Acosta, who's always there to he plays that quote unquote N'Golo Kante role, always trying to win the ball in the middle. Not really a playmaker. Same with James Sands and Christian Roldan. Sonora doesn't even play, so what's he going to offer? Aiden Morris is probably their only like kind of attacking minded midfielder. So there's only what 6 called up from midfield. So I just don't know where the creativity is going to come from, and that might come back to bite them in the ass there. What do you think?
Look, I honestly don't think they need any creativity, man. To me, they're just gonna play to the counterattacks. They have fast forwards in the name of Jordan Morris, in the name of Brandon Vasquez. He can be the bulky guy who retains the ball and then creates the space for Jordan Morris to come in, or for El Caballo Cowell to come in. Um, so I wouldn't be too worried about the creativity coming from the midfield. I think he understands that he has that specific advantage, and that he's calling. I mean, we see the roster, right? And you say that they lack creativity, but one thing that I believe they have on their advantage is that if you look at all of the MLS players, of course, excluding Sergio Dest, all of them are protagonists with their respective MLS teams. We're setting aside Alan Sonora, Sergio Dest, and the guy from Louisville, Joshua Wender,
Right.
because for one, we know that Alan Sonora doesn't play, Sergio Dest doesn't play, and we don't know anything about Joshua Winder, which I want to say he is a protagonist too, for being called up. But the rest of them are players who consistently have starting 11 game time, who are critical and crucial for each team that they play with. So I just want to say, believe, man. You gotta believe.
You bring up a good point. They're probably going to play absorb all of Mexico's attacks. They have what they
Hmm.
do have is good defense. The defenders they brought in are pretty the best that the MLS has to offer for the most part, right? So they'll probably absorb attacks and just go for the long ball to Brandon Vasquez or Jordan Morris or something. We'll go more into that in our preview episode, what we think the formations are going to be, the strategy. So make sure to check us out in the
Hmm.
next episode before the match Monday morning. Um, well, Adrian, that's kind of our reactions for USMNT. Uh, let's get into criticizing the Cocca here. Why don't you read off the list of convocados de la selección mexicana?
Sure. And now that I think about it, I think they probably asked both teams, "Hey, do whatever you can to bring at least one European player," and they brought the one guy who isn't playing, right?
Right.
So just like the USMNT, diegococca, Liga MX lineup fit Julian Araujo. So we have goalkeepers Carlos Acevedo, and I want you to pay close attention to the names I'm going to mention, right? Because there's one thing that I want to make sure that you and I, whether if it's briefly or thoroughly, but I want to make sure that we bring this up. Is we have Carlos Acevedo as a goalkeeper, Luis Angel Malagón, Antonio Rodriguez. Defenders, we have Kevin Alvarez from Pachuca, Néstor Araujo from America, Julián Araujo from Barcelona, Jesús Gallardo from Monterrey, Víctor Guzmán, finally, from Monterrey, Israel Reyes from America, and Sepúlveda, I think his name is Gilberto Sepúlveda, if I'm not mistaken, from Guadalajara. Midfielders, we have El Piojo Alvarado from Guadalajara, Aurelio Antonio from Cruz Azul, Facundo Nene Beltrán, Fernando Nene Beltrán from Guadalajara, Omar Campos from Santos, Alan Cervantes from Santos, Jesus Chavez from Pachuca, Ociel Herrera from Atlas, Aldo Rocha from Atlas, Charlie Rodriguez from Cruz Azul, Eric Sanchez from Pachuca, and alexisvega from Guadalajara. And only two forwards, Henry Martin and Roberto de la Rosa from Pachuca. So that's the 22 players that El Títere Coca is calling right now.
Well, let me try to guess as to what you wanted me to kind of notice from this, and I noticed two things right off the bat. And maybe they're not what you're mentioning, but the first thing that I noticed right away was the lack of Tigres players on this roster.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a single Tigres player. Rightfully
No.
so. They're playing like ass right now. Um, and
I don't want to talk about it.
and the lack of forwards. You have they didn't bring Funes Mori. There's only two actual number nines here. One of
Yeah.
them being De La Rosa from Pachuca. Um,
Mm-hmm.
where the goal's going to come from, we'll talk about that. But I don't know. Was that one of the things you were mentioning, or what is the standout thing you wanted me to notice here?
So I guess let's go through the surprise inclusions, and we'll leave that specific topic to the end. For the end, just
Sounds
because I
good.
think it's just interesting, man. I think I get my tinfoil hat on, and I just start speculating, go, get very deep into this kind of thing, and I just have my I want to go and just tell you
I
my
think
thoughts.
I think I know what it is now, but I'll go ahead and say they're all the owners of the three dueños. They're all the clubs of the dueños of the futbol mexicano. Yeah,
A lot of them,
yeah,
a
for
lot
the
of them,
most part.
and we'll touch base on this.
We'll touch base on it, but yeah,
All
go
right,
for it,
so what
man.
kind
Who
of
are the inclusions?
all right, surprise inclusions, of course, Julian Araujo. I wasn't expecting Julian Araujo to show up. Again, I just feel that they told him, "Hey, bring someone from Europe, scramble, do whatever you can." And well, we all know that even though he's supposed to be a Barcelona squad player, he's definitely not playing for the starting 11 team. I don't even think he's probably training with the A team right now, or like it's the Liga team. Um, but yeah, why wouldn't Barcelona say yes to a Barcelona B player, right? To
Yeah,
go
I mean,
play
right
this
now his
non-FIFA.
situation is that he can train with the A team. He just can't be a part of match day squads until the summer, until next season. So yeah, I mean, it's basically training over there. So yeah, let him come.
Exactly. I mean, why not? And then on top of that, I think his Barcelona B coach is Rafa Marquez. So why would Rafa Marquez say no to Doña Fede and sus amigos? So I don't think it's if we compare him to Serginho Dest, I don't think he's in the same position just because he hasn't played with Barcelona just yet.
Right.
But it's similar in the sense that he's not playing with the first team. So I'm surprised, but at the same time, when all cards are laying around the table, I can see why.
And it's funny because they brought both the fullbacks that are going to be competing for each other for against each other for minutes at Barcelona next season.
Yeah,
So
interesting, huh?
I mean, assuming Sergio that stays there, which I don't think so, he'll probably get moved out.
He
But
should, he should, and then Serginho Dest. If you see this, go somewhere else, boy.
yeah. All right, man. What's another
All right.
surprise inclusion here?
One guy that it's a surprise inclusion for me. I mean, surprise, quasi surprise, right? Because he used to be a go-to guy for El Títere Coca when he was at Atlas. This is Aldo El Tepito Venudo Rocha. Um, I would understand if Aldo Rocha would have been called up in 2021, maybe early 2022, but right now he's not in a good form. He just got he got a red card on the last game in CONCACAF against Philly Union because he lost his cool. He was very frustrated, and during Clausura for this year, he's not hot whatsoever. So this is one of those call-ups where I'm like, either Coca it's trying to appeal to his roots and call people that he can trust, or los dueños del fútbol mexicano are telling him, look, man, you gotta bring our players, which are players from Atlas, from Santos, from Tijuana. So it's a surprise to me because you have other defensive midfielders that can actually do a better job than him. Um, you know, you, I don't know. It's I say quasi surprise because I'm not surprised since diegococca knows him, and he's also an Orlegi player.
Mhm.
But come on, man, why?
They had to
Just
get one of their players in there, bro.
I know, but this is not the time for him to call him up. Yeah,
Better now than in July against
I guess so. Yeah, I mean, this game is just a
Nations League.
molero. So, and that's the other thing is like Diego Coca. This is a very risky game for Diego Coca because if he loses, he just goes up. Right? It gets warmer for him. It gets hotter for him. So why not just make sure to call up the guys with the best form right now? I don't know,
Right.
man. It's Aldo Rocha. We got Aldo Rocha. Cool. Next one I want to talk about is Nestor Araujo.
The old
He's
fart.
he's not even he's not a starting player for America right now, and I think that's pretty much enough, right? I mean, what would you call
Yeah.
Nestor Araujo?
He was one that
Like,
we thought was done with cleanup duty after the World Cup, right? You know, one of
Yeah,
the players that was going to be not called up anymore, but well, here he is. But to be fair, this might
exactly.
be nothing but a he has experience in these kind of matches, and he's a kind of a big name, quote unquote. But hmm,
Yeah, I guess so, man. I mean, the fact that you don't have Hector Moreno, who I also think shouldn't be called up anyways. You don't have Jesus Angulo. You don't have Johan Vasquez. You don't have Cesar Montes. So I guess that's why they're calling him up. Not that Mexico has a lot of center backs to pick from, but man, Nestor Araujo, like you're literally bringing a bench player, and he's probably gonna start. He's probably gonna start
yeah,
with Israel
he probably
Reyes.
will.
So, god damn it. The next one, hazme el refabrón cabor, dude. Alan Cervantes. Tengan tantita madre. If there's anything that I ask from Doña Fede and El Títere Coca is just to have some sort of shame. Tengan vergüenza, cabrones.
Oh my god.
Alan Cervantes, ahead of Marcel Ruiz, ahead of El Pocho Guzmán. Really, Alan Cervantes, who
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
not even like a regular starting 11 at Santos. And Santos has been playing like crap this season. I don't get it. I don't get
I
it.
mean, again,
It's just,
it's just putting in the players that belong to
and you
the
know what's
dueños.
even funnier, dude? Is that when I don't know if you recall that what's his name, this Paraguayan player with Toluca, Saturnino Cardoso. He used
Mm,
to be Alan Cervantes was a Chivas player before he went to Santos. When
uh-huh.
he was at Chivas and the coach was Saturnino Cardoso, Cardoso called him the Mexican Kevin De Bruyne. So it's just, oh my god, man. And so yeah, I mean, WTF, big time. And the last surprise for me, which also goes to show that, and this is the reason why I'm calling El Títere Coca, right? Is because you and I said this on our roster predictions that we weren't expecting Tonio Rodriguez to show up, right?
Hmm.
And we were looking at some reports saying that Diegococca he doesn't like
Right.
Tonio Rodriguez
Hmm.
whatsoever, and that he was going to call up Rodolfo Cota in his place. Now, rumor has it that one of the de los dueños del fútbol, one of the Doña Fede's friend, in the name of the owner of Tijuana, Jorge Hank, uh, told Diego Coca, "You gotta bring one of my Tijuana players," and so that's why we have Toño Rodriguez. He's definitely
Damn.
the third string keeper. I don't think he has a chance against Luis Angel Malagon and Carlos Acevedo. I think it's clear that Acevedo is going to be the starting keeper, but this is just one of those things where we want to believe that things are going to be different this time, and it's just the same old stuff, dude.
Yeah, I
La
mean,
misma gata revolcada.
this was like just out of left field, right? We kind of talked about it and we said, it was going to be
Hmm.
Cota, or if it wasn't Cota, it was going to be David Ochoa or Alex Padilla.
Yeah,
And no one expected this call up here. So, I mean, again, same old, right?
come on, man. I mean,
Hey,
ready
man,
for the
Doña Fede
missions?
knows best. Ready? Hey, yeah.
I
Who
know.
who who was omitted from the squad, man?
So I think that the first one that we got to talk about is Chicharito, right? Chicharito, you and I had, well, not that we have high hopes or expectations for him to show up. I think you and I felt very confident that he was going to show up on this list on the roster,
Yeah.
but he didn't. It looks like Doña Fede actually talked to LA Galaxy, asked them if Chicharito was going to be allowed to play with Mexico, and I think LA Galaxy told him like, look, he's not fit yet. He's not at the
Hmm.
level for him to be playing two games on a week, or to play during the weekend and then 2 days after have another game. So it looks like for that specific reason, LA Galaxy declined sending Chicharito. So I mean, it's one of those things where I'm not gonna miss him, but I'm pretty sure Televisa and
Yeah.
Univision and all those guys are gonna miss him because they're
Yeah.
yeah, that would attract a lot of viewers, definitely.
Yeah, he sells tickets. That's for
Uh-huh.
sure.
The other one is Hector Moreno. You and I also discussed Hector Moreno. Hector Moreno and HH, of course. Um, I know that Hector Moreno, for once, Monterrey asked Doña Fede not to call because they were planning on calling five players from Monterrey. One of
Hmm.
them being Hector Moreno, the other two being so one is Jesus Gallardo, right? So Jesus Gallardo is going. They're not calling up Hector Moreno. They're not calling up Funes Mori, Poncho Gonzalez, and what else? I think Luis Romo. Luis Romo is also missing.
Hmm.
So Rayados was like, "Hey man, uh, I want to give you players, and the only player that I can release is Jesus Gallardo. He's the only one who's fit to have multiple games in a row. The other ones are, they don't have that physical, or I guess that they're not in the form to be playing in and out like that. And it's the end of the season or the regular season in Liga MX. So I guess Rayos wants to keep Monterrey wants to keep as fresh as a team they can have. So Hector Moreno is not playing because of that reason. Achache, I don't know. I have no clue why they didn't call Achache. I really thought they were gonna call him because of name recognition, but maybe he's just done with El Tri. What do you think?
Yeah, no, definitely Hector Moreno is kind of a weird one. Weird omission that we kind of expected him to be here. But like you said, Monterrey is kind of even if they quote unquote said they're not fit, it's probably bullshit. They probably just don't want
Yeah,
to lose anybody to injury or anything. You know, they're
exactly.
super leader right now. They're on pace to maybe win the league. And imagine Funes Mori or multiple players that they have get injured. I mean, that's it for their season. So that
Exactly.
understandable. Ache Ache, yeah, man, I don't know. He's been playing well for Dynamo. He's had like 3 goals and 2 assists in the last 3 or 4 games. But yeah, it might just be his time is up with El Tri. So interesting omission to say the least on him.
Yeah, and I mean it's a good thing I guess that his time is over with El Tri anyways. But it was just interesting to see him not being called up.
Yep.
In the interest of time, man, I think El Factor line is not being called up or any other Tigres players being getting called up. It is a surprise omission just because I think that Diegococca really likes Diego Lainez and Jesus Angulo, of course.
Hmm.
But just like Monterrey, Tigres asked Doña Fede not to call a lot of his players because Tigres has been playing like crap. They just recently had hired a new coach, and they
Hmm.
have back to back games this week. They're playing against Motagua today, Thursday. Then they play on Saturday against Querétaro, and then they play on Thursday again against Puebla. So they need all the slack they can get.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
and and the last two surprise admissions that I want to touch base in here, it's Pocho Guzman from Chivas and Marcel Ruiz. With Pocho Guzman, I really don't get it. I really don't understand. Pocho Guzman has been in a great form this season with goals and assists. He's been the actual go to player for Chivas for Paunovic. He showed up to the team. He's now the captain. He's just there's no reason why Diego Coca wouldn't call him up. And I just want to call BS on this snub. Honestly, I'm not too sure why Diego Coca won't call him up. Diego Coca said recently that he feels that Pocho Guzman plays too slow for him, that the way he's playing with Chivas, the position, the style of play that Panovich has in play does not fit his own, coaching style. But then again, you are the coach of El Tri and you can make him play whatever you want. So I think that's a BS,
Yeah.
excuse. Um, but people close to El Pocho are saying that they feel the doping situation. He was playing with some angel dust
Mm-hmm.
a few years ago.
Right.
They're saying that that's that harm that really harm his public image, and
Yeah.
a lot of the sponsors are reluctant to have him as a L3 player. So that's a big snub for me. The other one is Marcel Ruiz, who has had a stellar close with a 2023 with Toluca. He's a great cog for that engine that Nacho Ambriz is running down there in El Estado de Mexico. Um, he got called up for the Nations League. I don't think he
Hmm.
played, but I just don't know why he's not here. Yet we have freaking Alan Cervantes and Aldo Rocha.
Yeah.
Only
Questionable to
Lord
say the
knows, man.
least.
I know.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, gonna be kind of we knew it was gonna be MLS versus Liga MX. Didn't know it was gonna feature two fullbacks from Barcelona. But yeah, Juego Molero. We know it's gonna be a. I mean, might be fun to watch, I guess, if you're chugging some beers, but it's not gonna be like the real one we're gonna watch and wait for is the Nations League
Yeah.
match. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, if you guys are listening to us, watching us, be sure to keep it here on Puro Pinche Gol. We're gonna have our preview episode before the match on the 19th. So our preview episode should be going live around the 17th. So be on the lookout for
Hmm.
that. Adrian, before we wrap up here, man, where can our listeners find us?
Definitely, man. They can find us multiple ways, but if they want to see our pretty faces, they can find us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the notifications. If you just want to listen to our beautiful voices, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts on. Last but not least, you can also find us at Puro Pinche Gol on Twitter and Instagram. We'll be posting stuff every now and then.
Yeah, make sure y'all follow us on those your preferred platform of choice, social media, and yeah, hit us up. Hit us up on Instagram. Hit us up on Twitter, on YouTube, on the comments. We love reading you guys' comments. So let us know what you guys think of both rosters. Are you going to be watching this game? If so, how many beers are you think you're going to be chugging throughout this game? Let us know. We'll love reading y'all's comments and interacting with you guys. So. Adrian, it's always a pleasure to be here with you, man. And I'll see you in the next one, brother.
Take it easy, Padrino.
So it is.